Hi, it is me, your health and life coach, Laura. For those who don't know me, I have been in the health industry for over 10 years. I started as a personal trainer, and about 6 years ago, I started coaching, and I really got into it this past year. I have worked with over 100 different clients and been able to get a lot of them success. And I'm going to tell you right now why I shifted to coaching more so than training. And then I'm going to talk a little bit today about comparison, because it's been a common theme that's been showing up in my coaching the last couple days, weeks, and when I think about it, months. I don't know why I haven't done a video about it before, but we're going to do it now. But the reason that I shifted from training to coaching is because everything starts on the inside. So what really happened was I was really good at getting my clients results, but they would fall back, and it was always a battle, and they were fighting willpower. And I felt like there was an easier way. And I was listening to a podcast, and I kind of brought the message that I got from it, the conversation, to one of my clients who I had been trying to get to do something specific for 3-4 years, and it just wasn't in her wheelhouse at the time. And after that conversation, she literally started working out on her own, which was what I was trying to get her to do. She was a CEO, she was a parent of 2 kids. It was just really hard for her to work out outside of just me. What we really wanted her to do was get a 4th day in. And after that one conversation, she did it all throughout 2020. And 2020 was a hell of a year, obviously. So I think it was like 1 or 2 weeks after she consistently did it. And I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't really want to talk to her about it. But I was like, what changed? And she was like, it was a conversation we had. Like, I don't know what my epiphany was per se, but it was ultimately like, I just have to decide. And like, that was her kind of aha from the conversation. But it made me realize, like, I've been trying to teach these people how to do things outside in, and I needed to go inside out. And that is why I have invested more of my time and energy into coaching. And if you are unsure of what coaching is, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I'm happy to give you a taste of what it's like, because I have now experienced it myself, and it is quite transformational. But let's get into the topic for today, which is comparing. Why do we do it? Where did it come from? So here's my take on it. I think that we compare because we need to have a baseline. We want to know, like, is this good? Is this bad? Should I be doing more? Should I be doing less? And where it came from, I mean, I'm sure it was before what I'm thinking of, but from my lifespan and how I see it, growing up, my family, my grandparents more specifically, like, they always were taught, like, picture perfect. Like, even if you're having a familial issue, you put on a good face, you smile, like, that's in-house stuff. We don't talk about it. It was always about kind of putting forward the perfect family, which is ridiculous because there's no such thing as a perfect family. But I think that's where it came from, because they were afraid of other people judging them and what those judgments might be and how that might affect them, whether that be in business or society or whatnot. So they used comparing as a way to judge where they stood amongst their own community. That's kind of my take on it. Well, fast forward to now. We still have some of those issues. You know, a lot of people, the need for approval, the fear of judgment is very much still there. I deal with that every day with clients. And I used to be very fearful of it as well. But what changed it for me was 2 things. One is kind of silly, and it's a Dr. Seuss quote that was, it says, "Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who don't mind don't matter, and those who mind," wait, let me start that over. So it's, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Sorry, tongue twister. But you get the idea. And it made me realize, like, I don't expect everyone to like me, because that's not realistic, because I don't like every single person either. But I want the right people to like me. And the right people to like me are the people who know me as me, not me as some version of myself that I'm trying to put forth. So that was the first thing that kind of helped me get out of my, like, fear of people judging me. The second thing was, I don't know. Like, I know that I've been judged. Like, I was in a sorority. I'm a girl at high school. I mean, it's impossible not to be judged. But whether they were judging me or not, I didn't really know if they were doing it. So it was always like the story I was telling myself in my head. And I was always so concerned with like, well, what if they are judging me? What if they are judging me for this? I'm me. At the end of the day, if you don't like me, I respect that. I would love to know why, but I respect it in the end no matter what. And that's just kind of where I stand. I know not everyone's going to see things the same way, but for me, I don't necessarily compare myself as much. I totally used to, but I don't do it anymore because I don't like judgment. I don't like judging others, and I don't like being judged. And if I am judged, I don't even know it. So I really think that it came from the fear of being judged by others, and we needed something to kind of like, no, this is the standard and this is what we should do. And it always makes me wonder, because I was reflecting on my own kind of comparison syndrome. What benefit does comparing yourself to others really have? I mean, yes, it gives you a standard, but most of the time it creates a negative emotion, whether it's you're comparing yourself to someone who's better than you feel bad that you're not as good as that person. Or if you're comparing yourself to someone who's worse than you, then you feel better than that person. Is that a good feeling? I don't really feel like that's a good feeling. I don't want to feel better than people. I want to be part with people. Like, I don't see it that way, but that's just me. But really, we need a standard. We need to know how we're doing to move forward. So, like, doctors have a bunch of those and whatnot, but here's a radical idea. What if we already have had a standard for this entire time, but we just didn't know what it was? Our body has a natural intuition. Just like, how if a dog doesn't like someone, they growl. And you're like, I don't know why they don't like them, but like, if you don't like them, like maybe I should be unsure of them, because like dogs just have an intuition. So do we. That's why first impressions are powerful, because we kind of get a intuitive gut feeling about people. Well, we have that intuition built into us. We have that gut feeling built into us amongst almost anything about your, lifestyle, about your body, about your religion, about your family, about your relationship. You have gut feelings around like, are these good? Are these bad? Do I need more? Do I need less? The problem is we compare ourselves to others a lot with, magazines and TV and like, celebrities and stars, which gives us this false reality. Hold. Sorry. But really, we kind of already know like what's successful for you and what feels good for you and what your standard should be. You probably secretly know it. You just don't trust it. And I think that's where the problem is, because we've been raised in a society where we are taught not to really trust ourselves, but to trust what others think. And that's where the problem lies. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of why that's a problem. I was talking to a client earlier today who has a boss that doesn't really vibe with her. So the boss is impossible to please. And I don't know if you've ever had a boss like this, but I've experienced a couple different types of bosses. One boss that I had that is very similar to this client's is the type of boss who likes the work you do, isn't really good at giving that positive affirmation, that great job, but will point out 1 to 2 or even more things that you should improve on. And they view it as like, I'm trying to help you grow. That's their outlook. It's not that I'm saying you did a bad job. It's saying that I'm trying to make you grow. But if you're the type of person who is constantly in your head, constantly comparing, and you never get that positive affirmation, you don't actually know what that person wants. And all that boss is ever giving you is negative feedback of, this is how you should grow. So my client is that type of person. So she was really confused about like, what's good enough? Like, I just don't know. And my suggestion to her was, well, what would be good enough to you? And she didn't have an answer. It boggled her. She still doesn't. We've been talking about this for 2 weeks now. And it's because we've been raised in this society where our standard is based on everybody else. But that's a really great equation for disappointment. Why? Like, it doesn't matter what they do. You're in the position you're in because you have talent, you have skill. So clearly they like what you're doing. And her boss has been doing this to her for years and she hasn't fired her. So it's not that she's bad at her job. She's probably just the type of boss that sees it as motivation by adding one or two things that she can do to help. So that's one example. That's just not useful. You need to know for yourself what your standard is, what is successful for you, what will make you feel accomplished. Because otherwise, you're just going to be kind of dipping back down into someone else's pot. And if, God forbid, someone else is having a bad day and you're looking for their approval, you might not get it just because they're having a bad day. The second thing that happened was with another client who she compares everything. And she does very, very well for herself. She owns her own company and she is in the process of looking for her dream house. And looking for a dream house in Chicago can be a bit trying, especially now. And dream house in general is kind of tough because everyone's dream house is different. And she actually had a win, so I'm going to brag on her for a second. But she went to go look at a house and it wasn't exactly what she wanted, but the realtor commented on a house down the street that was like $7-point-something million. And she had her moment of comparing and envy of, ugh, I wish I had that house. She hadn't even seen the inside of it. Just the pricing of it made her be like, well, that has to be like a dream house because it's so expensive. And then she sat back and she was like, that's not the house I want. The house I want is in my head. The house I want is like, I know what I want. And she was able to take herself out of comparison and kind of laugh because she doesn't want to spend $7-point-something million on her dream home. She knows she can get it for a more reasonable price. And it's not a matter of if she can or can't. She can. She just doesn't. That's not how she wants to spend her money. She wants to spend her money on family vacations and making memories with the people that she loves. And I think that's great for her. And if you're the type of person who wants to spend 7-point-whatever million on a house, that's awesome for you too. Like I said, no judgment. But the point is, every other time that she's done that, she felt bad about herself. And she came to me so excited because she's like, I didn't really compare. I snapped out of it. I laughed and I walked away not even thinking about it. My old client, older version of her, would have dwelled on it for a week, maybe even more. So really, comparing doesn't benefit us. And that's really what I want you to get out of this. And the problem is that we need to have that value. The other problem is we don't value ourselves and our own opinion enough to create that value. We doubt ourselves because we have that voice in our head that's like, but are you sure? And if you have that voice, then of course you're like, oh my God, am I sure? And then you doubt yourself and you go through that, cycle. But ultimately, we need to have our own standard. Most people do when they're dating someone, like, I'm willing to put up with this, I'm not willing to put up with this. Why don't we have that for ourselves through work, through family, through other relationships outside of dating, through everything? Why are we on Instagram trying to find some six-pack model that's totally not our body type and try and fit that mold? That will never happen. So we can make ourselves feel bad? That doesn't make much sense, right? So here is what I'm going to do because I just am in a giving mood. If you can either DM me or you can comment below, but I have this epic self-care handout. It has 100 different self-care activities. That's what I'm serious. 100 different self-care activities. When I first got this handout, I did not understand how in-depth self-care truly is. And this handout really painted an amazing picture for me. When I did it the first time, I was only taking care of about like 40 of the 100. And I did it a second time 3 months later. And now I'm at 80 of the 100 things. And I can tell you, it's totally changed my life. So all you got to do, totally free, is just give me your email or I need somewhere to send it. So DM me your email, drop your email below, whatever you're comfortable with. And I'm going to give you this free handout so you can up-level your self-care, so you can create these standards, so you can stop comparing and stop making yourself feel bad. And if you don't want it, total respect. Regardless, stop comparing. You are all you need. You don't need anyone else's opinion to decide if you are good enough or if you did well. You have a gut feeling. Just try this on. Trust yourself. Trust what you've accomplished in the past. Trust what you still can accomplish. Believe in yourself and bet in yourself and just see how that energy feels. I bet you it's going to feel a lot better than comparing. And for those who don't know, I am hosting a little event tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time about how to kick the sugar habit, because sugar implicates a lot of different diseases. It affects weight, it affects your mood, it affects your energy. It's actually pretty impressive how just adjusting one piece in your diet can be really impactful. So if you're interested, it is in my page, and it is at 7 o'clock tomorrow. And it's totally free, and you get a bunch of different handouts. If not, regardless, trust yourself, love yourself, and I'm out.